Hey guys, I'm sure you've seen the footage of the cargo ship. It was a Singapore ship, and it was crewed by Indians. Yeah, dot, not feather, and they were bringing the ship in the Baltimore harbor, and they went, oh, boom, and it hit the bridge. A support of the bridge is called the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and it was dramatic. It just crumbled. I was thinking of showing the footage, but you probably seen it, and the mayor of Baltimore says, oh, don't release that footage. Don't show that footage. And I'm not doing it out of respect of him, but who knows what YouTube's rules are. Oh, it's graphic violence, even though it doesn't show anything. So I think you know what it looked like. It hit the pillar and the whole thing just went boom, crashed. I mean, the whole bridge is wiped out. It looked like something you would see in a movie, a special effects disaster movie. And, immediately everyone had their initial take or opinion on this. My initial take was, wow, this is symbolic. It's symbolic. You could see in slow motion this cargo ship heading to the support pillar, and it can't turn real quick, those ships. So if they're headed to disaster, you know what's going to happen. It's like a slow motion train wreck. This is a slow motion boat wreck into a bridge, and then it just all came tumbling down. And I thought it was sort of symbolic because the bridge was named after a man that wrote our national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. And this ship full of Indians crashed into it, and it just all tumbled down. And sort of a metaphor of what's happening to America. We're headed, you can see the slow motion disaster happening with our immigration, the fiscal situation. Everything's getting out of control. We're losing our constitutional rights, and it doesn't seem anything can be done. And eventually it's just all going to crumble. It's just a matter of when. That was my initial take too. And of course it was like, okay, what is this? Is this another DEI problem? Diversity, equity, inclusion. And see, that's always going to be a suspicion, right? When people get their jobs, not because they're qualified, because of racial reasons or because of their sex. And people are always going to wonder if that's the case. Now, I've since looked at the video. What has happened? And I guess if I wanted more views, I would do the Alex Jones thing, or, oh, it was probably hackers. Maybe it was the Chinese terrorists. They hacked the ship and ran it into the bridge. I don't think that's what really happened. What looks like happened, it necessarily wasn't the fault of the pilot. The pilot's the guy that guides the ship in. It looks like from the video that the power went off, and then it went on again, then off, and then it came on again at the last moment, but it was too late. In my understanding, once they lose their power, they can't really steer these ships, and you can't move these cargo ships on a dime. It's not like you hit the brakes and stop. They move slow. So when the power went off, it didn't have any control. And you could say, oh, it's maybe a terrorist attack. Well, but the pilot, they radioed saying there was trouble and they needed to get everyone off the bridge. So they did stop the highway traffic. So thank God for that. But there were still some construction workers on the bridge at night working. And last I heard, there's like 6 missing. I hope there's a good outcome for them. But, 6 people are feared dead. But it's quite a disaster economically because that bridge carries a lot of traffic. It's now shut down the harbor. It's going to take them forever to clear out the harbor. And who knows how long it will take to replace the bridge, even if it will happen. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But I think the most likely scenario, it was a mechanical failure. The power went out and it was just uncontrolled and hit the bridge. Now, why was there a mechanical failure? Was that because of DEI or sloppy workmanship? Probably. There's a good chance that was the situation. But I don't think it was a terrorist attack or someone hacked the ship or anything like that. Now, the bad thing is, when something like this happens, you get a lot of people with these conspiracy theories or these different ideas, and that's fine. That's part of a free society. But MSNBC, maybe I should link to it. Some lady named Ms. Rosenblatt they jump on this sort of thing. Oh, look at all these conspiracy theories on X. They need to shut it down. Shut it down. Like they're the arbiter of truth. They know what the truth is. See, in a free society, you allow crazy ideas and people discuss it. I mean, and the left, what the hell? MSNBC and CNN, they went on for years about a couple fake conspiracies. One I can't talk about on YouTube, but they did, that Putin with Trump, they hacked the 2016 election. Remember that? Rachel Maddow and all those? And it turned out to be all bullshit. And then Hunter Biden's laptop, they even censored people on Twitter back then for saying this, this is the president's son. It shows bribery and corruption. No, that's a Russian plant. Remember? They ran with that conspiracy theory. So the left does conspiracy theories too, also that are false. And so you got to allow a free debate. But it's interesting, immediately when something happens, the usual suspects are trying to shut down free discussion. All right. But the real problem with this whole thing that happened is not the specific incident, because throughout history, accidents happen. I mean, it always has. Things go wrong. It's an imperfect world, right? But the problem is that I see it, and a lot of people see it, it seems like this is accelerating, that our society, not just the bridge, but everything, the planes, doors falling off because they're not bolted on, and planes having to land because of shoddy workmanship. And even if you just get your fast food, people can't get the order right. Everything seems to be falling apart. There's a crisis in competency, they call it. So it's just not one individual incident like this one. It's a series of things. And I think there's some reasons for it. Is number one, the IQ of the country has really gone down. And you can see this. When I took my trip to California, and no offense to California, but I did a massive road trip, 3,700 miles. I saw Americans. I went out in public. And there's a lot of good people, but it was shocking because you're in your bubble. You're around a lot of sharp people like yourself. And then you get out there. There's a lot of people that are, I don't know where they come from, and they just have a vacant look in their eyes. These aren't people that are going to get us to Mars. You can see that. And that probably was always the case. Not everyone's a super rocket scientist, but most people were fairly competent. Whereas because of now mass immigration, and let's face it, we're not like importing German rocket scientists that were ex-Nazis into the country now. We're importing people with a pretty low IQ. And you see the countries they came from, what they were able to do. And they're coming here, and this is decreasing the overall IQ of the entire country. And that has an impact. It really does, because there's a certain level, a critical mass. I mean, you can deal with some stupid people, kind of isolate them, and you can still get society working. But there's a certain percentage, when you get enough dumb people, things start to break down, and you don't have enough smart people to keep things running. And I feel we're in this situation in the United States. We just have too many dumb people now. And then to combine with that, we have all these DEI or global impact statements are trying to do, or objectives for diversity, that we got to actually put people in positions even though they're not qualified because of diversity. And so you got a lot of dumb people that are now being put in positions of power that really can't do the job. And again, even when I was in the industry, we had a little bit of that. But if it's just like a few people, you can cover it up. It's sort of a diversity tax, meaning it is. But all the competitors, at least in America, had to do it too. So whatever. Okay, we have to hire these people that can't do the job. We'll try to give them some bullshit assignment that's not really important. Give them a good salary. Just don't get them in charge of anything that could break anything, right? And they're happy because they get good money and they don't really have to do anything. And you have to pay money. It's a tax, but your competitor does too, so whatever. But when the population or the employees, you get a certain percent that more and more are these people, you start to see things breaking down. And this is what is happening. I've seen it when I was a programmer. We started to outsource to India. And there's a lot of smart Indians, but Indians as a culture, they're extremely corrupt, meaning they lie on the resume about their qualifications. And people are seeing this now. So there's supposed to be all this cost savings, but when you sent the work over there, you had to have very detailed instructions, and half the times they would screw it up, not even tell you. They weren't able to fix it, so you had to bring it back to Americas to fix. And again, when it was just a small thing, you could kind of manage it. It was a pain in the ass, but pretty soon when you start to eliminate almost all Americans, who's going to fix the shit that breaks? Well, you aren't. And we're seeing that problem now in the industry. So we're seeing this in all of our industries, our whole country, where things start to break apart. And then it's just not immigration or DEI. It's also the general education is poor for everyone. If you look at the public schools, they're more concerned now with LGBTQ and pronouns. And where other countries like China, Russia, Japan, they really teach serious subjects, and our kids are taught bullshit. And they have a lot of high self-esteem, but they don't know anything. It's not necessarily they're stupid, but they're not really educated, even though they think they are. And then finally, we just have so much corruption now and a lack of work ethic. There's just a lot of laziness. Everyone half-asses it. And again, that there was always some of that, but that's becoming now the norm. It's the problem they had in communism is everyone got paid the same. So if someone just goofs around and they get paid the same as someone that really busts their butt and really works hard, eventually the guy that really works hard is like, well, why should I work hard when this slacker gets to pay the same as me? I'm just going to slack off too. And we're starting to see that in the United States. People just start to check out, meaning, why should I really try hard? So if you're in a corporation and you want to do a great thing for your corporation, so maybe you could advance and get more money or get a bonus or get a promotion. But the corporation says, no, we have diversity goals. So yeah, you can work your ass off, but you're not going to get a bonus. Even someone that's a different race that we're trying to promote, they're going to get the same bonus of you, even though they're goofing off. And when it comes to a promotion, it doesn't matter that you do a great job, we're going to give it to someone else because of racial reasons. Well, eventually the white people that they don't get the diversity initiatives, they're just going to start to check out. And they're like, why should I work hard? I will do the bare minimum myself. And why should I cover for this guy? And we're starting to see that now, I think, through the entire country. And so this whole bridge thing, I think, illustrates a deeper problem. And again, this is just one incident, but it's something that sort of typifies the entire country now. And then we had the reaction to this. I mean, years ago, something like this, you have occasional disasters, but everyone rolls up the sleeves. You get a lot of great people involved, and we rebuild the bridge. And again, in the 70s, it took 5 years to build the bridge. I don't know if we could even build the bridge anymore. Maybe. I don't think it's going to be 5 years. It's probably be billions of dollars. It's going to be cost overruns. And I just don't see that spirit that can really build it, because you're going to have all these environmental statements. You're going to have all this government red tape. You're going to have contractors. You aren't going to get the best people for the contractors. You're going to have to look, oh, how many blacks do you have in your company? How many, or is it women led? And do you have homosexuals? We need all that. And so you get that in the mix. And then you get a very corrupt government. The city of Baltimore is extremely corrupt, as well as the state of Maryland. And it all comes together that I don't know if this can even really happen anymore. And that was the thing that's so different. The old America, again, there was some corruption in the big cities daily, in Chicago and so forth. But even though some of the politicians were corrupt, they got things done. You know, you could build the Hoover Dam pretty quick, or you could do these infrastructure projects. There was a spirit of America, kind of there was a movie called The Right Stuff, that, yeah, we have the people, the smarts, and the initiative, the American spirit, that we can get to the moon. And yes, we did get to the moon. It was very brilliant people that were able to do it. We don't seem to have that spirit anymore. We have a spirit of decay and just people trying to get through and half-ass everything, and a lot of racial resentments. And then you have the leader, Joe Biden. Oh, we're going to rebuild the bridge. And he said, I remember this bridge. I used to take, when I lived in Maryland, I used to take a train every day across the bridge. There was never a train across the bridge. See, this is Joe Biden, a senile man making up stories that aren't even true. So this is really what the bridge typifies. It's just not this one incident. No, it's not as scary terrorism or hackers, although that probably give me a lot of views. But really what is more scary is this is just probably stupidity. And it comes to this one phrase that I like. It's called Hanlon's razor. And it's an adage. And it's kind of, I think it's really true most of the time. It says, never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. So don't, if you see a cargo ship hit the bridge, don't attribute it right off the bat to some like terrorism or malice or anything like that. It's probably just stupidity, either by the pilots or the people that maintain the boats were half-assing it. They didn't check things out properly. That, sadly, is probably usually the reason for these type of things. And we're seeing the Hanlon's razor across America, where we have a lot of stupidity that is breaking things down. So it's not like a plot by the World Economic Forum or a special group. I mean, there's a lot of evil groups out there, but for the most part, we're just getting a lot of dumb people. There's no more reward system because you're not rewarded based on merit. We've got rid of the American ideal. It's all this racial spoils. So even competent people, let's say competent white people, they don't give a shit anymore. Because why not? Why bust your ass if other people aren't? And they get paid the same as you. And you get penalized. So it's all kind of imploding. I think that is really the lesson of this accident. And I half expect the bridge will never be built. They're going to probably do the funding for it. They will start the construction eventually. There will be cost overruns. It won't be done right. There'll be corruption. And then 10 years from now, they'll just give up on the project. It's sad, but I think that's what will happen. Talk to you guys later.